Hello, English 10. I'm creating this video to examine the way that figurative language is frequently a signpost or an indicator of a deeper meaning and ultimately, a lot of times, the theme or central idea of a poem or a longer work. So when I went and started just doing that preliminary kind of like looking at what the poem is about, I had to look up this word, bedight, and what I found was that this word meant well dressed. So we know this knight he's decked out in his knightly best. The other thing I found out was that Eldorado is actually a mythical city of gold, and the city has like never been found. So people would like journey trying to find Eldorado to find riches and honor and probably fame for being a discoverer. So that's what we see as being some of the like more confusing terms that you might look up. On my next read, I tried to chunk the text into the like meaningful chunks that can be paraphrased together. So let's go with the pen. So when I read this 4 stanza long poem, remember stanzas in poetry are like paragraphs in a book. I would indicate that these are like the 3 kind of sections of the text, and between each section there's a shift. So in this first section of text, the first stanza, I would paraphrase it as saying, we have a young knight journeying for a legendary city. And then in this next chunk of text, there's a shift. This knight is no longer young. He has spent his life looking for something that he never found. The knight is old and has not been successful in his quest for the golden city. We also have this additional person, a pilgrim shadow that he meets, and he meets someone on the road. So then in our last stanza, there's another shift. And that's why I think this is like the next kind of chunk of text, because this pilgrim shade, this is all his speaking, except for the one line that says the shade replied. So suddenly there's a shift in focus on the poem. So this is paraphrased as the shade tells him where to look for Eldorado. So even if you're not exactly sure where he's telling him yet, which I think becomes clear on the next reading, you can still kind of paraphrase into these 3 chunks. The next thing I do as I read is start to look for figurative language, because this is where we're going to start to try and find those deeper meanings. So one of the most obvious and important things that Poe is doing is he's repeating or using anaphora with this word shadow. So in every stanza, the word shadow ends the 3rd line. And in each stanza, it means something different and has a different kind of like function. So in this first stanza, we see shadow is a literal shadow created by light and darkness. And then in this next stanza, the shadow is a metaphor for his disillusionment. Try and move that up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, got it. Then here, the pilgrim shadow. Again, this is a metaphor indicating that this person is dead, that they're a ghost. There we go. Okay. And then in our last stanza, we have, I think, the most powerful use of the word shadow. Down the valley of the shadow is indicated also with like capitalized words. And so we know he means a specific place by making it a proper noun. So the valley of the shadow of death is meant to be alluded to here. And so we have a biblical allusion to the afterlife. So now we have this kind of deeper thought about what the poem might be about. And I think it's helpful to label what figurative language we've found. So far we saw anaphora of shadow. We saw metaphor. And then also I definitely see some use of alliteration. Alliteration is another repetition device of like repeating the initial word. So we have like sunshine, shadow. In this stanza, we have mountains, moon. And then, as is typical for Poe, we also have some strong rhyme and rhythm. So now we've looked into those deeper meanings. As we go back then, I think kind of the last step is to say what's like the main idea of each stanza. So in this stanza, I think what we see is that this knight has journeyed and he's looking for Eldorado. That's really the main idea there. This next stanza, he hasn't found it yet. So he found no Eldorado. And then down here, he meets this shade or shadow. And then over here, the shade is telling him Eldorado is, not something that you can find on the earthly plane. So if we think of what Eldorado means, this mythical golden city, I think we can start to understand what the central idea of the poem is. So I'm putting on sticky just to make it stand out even a little bit more in my annotation. Central idea, theme. So remember, when we're writing this kind of a statement, it's going to be a broad general statement that could be true for anyone. So we're not going to say the knight can't find Eldorado on earth. We would say something more broad and general, like the greatest riches and honor can't be found on earth. Another way to say that, maybe that's even better, is like the most valuable things in life are not physical things. So this was a way to see how the figurative language is like signposts towards us finding this theme in this poem. We're going to continue to do this together and to build from looking at figurative language to doing annotation to now writing a summary. Thank you for watching.